The night sky over Earth suddenly lit up with a dazzling display of lights. At first, people thought it was a meteor shower, but as the lights grew bigger and brighter, it became clear that something extraordinary was happening. In observatories around the world, astronomers watched in awe as their instruments picked up readings unlike anything they had ever seen before. Dr. Sarah Chen, a respected astrophysicist at the Mauna Kea Observatory in Hawaii, was the first to realize what they were witnessing. It's a fleet," she whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. "An alien fleet." Within hours, the news spread like wildfire across the globe. Social media exploded with videos and photos of the approaching lights. Governments scrambled to respond, and military forces worldwide were put on high alert. As dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean, the true scale of the alien presence became apparent. Hundreds of massive ships, each easily the size of a small city, hung silently in the sky. Their sleek silver hulls reflected the sunlight, creating a breathtaking spectacle that was both beautiful and terrifying. World leaders gathered in an emergency United Nations session, desperately trying to formulate a response. Should they attempt communication? Prepare for a possible invasion? The debate raged on as the alien fleet remained motionless in Earth's orbit. Just as tensions reached a boiling point, something unexpected happened. The largest ship in the fleet, a behemoth that dwarfed all the others, suddenly began to descend. It moved slowly and gracefully, defying its enormous size, until it hovered just a few thousand feet above the ocean's surface. Then, silence. The world held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Without warning, a beam of soft, blue light shot out from the ship, touching down on the water's surface. Within this beam, a holographic image appeared, a figure that looked almost, but not quite, human. The alien spoke, its words somehow understood by everyone who heard them, regardless of their native language. "People of Earth," the figure said, its voice resonating with a strange mix of authority and desperation. "We come to you in our time of great need. Our journey has been long, and our resources are depleted. Our propulsion systems have failed, leaving us stranded in your solar system." The alien paused, allowing its words to sink in. Around the world, people listened in stunned silence. "We are the Zarquin, a peaceful race from a distant galaxy. We have traveled for generations, seeking a new home after our own world was destroyed. We had not intended to stop here, but fate has brought us to your doorstep." The holographic figure seemed to look directly at each person watching, its eyes conveying a deep sense of hope and fear. "We ask for your help, humans of Earth. Our technology is advanced, but it has limits. We believe that together, we might find a solution to repair our fleet and continue our journey. In return, we offer to share our knowledge and discoveries with your species." As the alien's message concluded, the blue beam retracted, leaving the world in a state of shock and wonder. The Zarquin ships remained in orbit, a constant reminder of the incredible situation humanity now faced. In the days that followed, debates raged across the globe. Some saw the aliens' arrival as an unprecedented opportunity for human advancement. Others feared it was a trap, a prelude to invasion. Dr. Chen, who had first identified the fleet, found herself thrust into the spotlight. As one of the world's leading experts on theoretical propulsion systems, she was called to Washington, D.C. to advise the president. "We have to help them," she argued passionately in the Oval Office. "This could be the most important moment in human history. We have the chance not only to make first contact, but to prove ourselves as a species capable of compassion and cooperation on a galactic scale." The president nodded thoughtfully, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. "And if it's a trick, if we're opening ourselves up to destruction?" Dr. Chen stood firm. "Then we'll face it together, as we faced every challenge in our history. But I don't believe it is. This is our moment, Mr. President. Our chance to show the universe what humanity is truly capable of." As the world waited with bated breath, the leaders of Earth prepared to make a decision that would change the course of human history forever. The age of isolation was over. Whether for good or ill, humanity was about to take its first steps into a larger, more wondrous, and potentially more dangerous universe. The question on everyone's mind was simple. Were they ready? The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with tension. Leaders from every nation on Earth had gathered for what many were calling the most important meeting in human history. The fate of not just one country, but the entire planet, hung in the balance. Secretary General Amina Okafor stood at the podium, her usually calm demeanor strained by the weight of the moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice echoing through the packed chamber, "we face an unprecedented situation. The Zarquin fleet remains in orbit, awaiting our response. We must decide, here and now, how humanity will face this challenge." As Okafor spoke, screens around the hall displayed live feeds of the alien ships hovering silently above the Earth. Their presence was a constant reminder of the gravity of the situation. "We have heard from our top scientists and military advisors," Okafor continued. "Now we must debate and decide. Will we offer our help to the Zarquin, or will we turn them away?" The first to speak was the President of the United States. "We cannot ignore the potential threat these aliens pose," he said firmly. "While they claim to come in peace, we have no way to verify their intentions. I propose we demand they leave our solar system immediately." Murmurs of agreement rippled through some delegations, but others shook their heads in disagreement. The Chinese premier stood next. "With all due respect," she said, "turning away the Zarquin could be a grave mistake. Their technology could revolutionize our world. Imagine what we could learn about space travel, energy production, even medicine. The benefits could be enormous." As the debate raged on, Dr. Sarah Chen watched from a side gallery, her heart racing. She had been invited to observe the proceedings due to her expertise. As she listened to the arguments flying back and forth, she couldn't help but feel that something crucial was being overlooked. Suddenly, the Russian president's voice cut through the noise. "We're forgetting something important," he said, his tone serious. "The Zarquin are stuck here whether we help them or not. If we refuse, we'll have a desperate, technologically advanced species right on our doorstep. Is that a risk we're willing to take?" A hush fell over the room as the implications of his words sank in. The Indian Prime Minister spoke up next. "Perhaps there's a middle ground," she suggested. "We could agree to help, but on our terms. We set strict conditions, maintain our defenses, and approach this as a carefully managed collaboration." As the leaders continued to debate, Dr. Chen felt a tap on her shoulder. It was one of the Secretary General's aides. "Dr. Chen," he whispered, "Madam Secretary General requests your input." Heart pounding, Sarah made her way to the podium. She took a deep breath, looking out at the sea of faces that represented the entirety of human leadership. "Distinguished leaders," she began, her voice shaky at first, but growing stronger with each word, "I understand your fears. They're valid. We're facing the unknown. But let me remind you of something. Throughout human history, every great leap forward has come from facing the unknown with courage." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The Zarquin have technology we can barely comprehend. Yes, that makes them potentially dangerous. But it also means they could have conquered us already if they wanted to. Instead, they've asked for our help." Sarah's eyes swept the room, meeting the gazes of leaders from every corner of the globe. This is humanity's chance to prove itself, to show that we're not just clever apes on a pale blue dot, but a species capable of compassion, innovation, and cooperation on a galactic scale. We have the opportunity to make history, to be the heroes of our own story. As she finished speaking, the hall erupted in a mix of applause and heated discussion. Secretary General Okafor thanked Dr. Chen and called for order. "We've heard many perspectives," Okafor said. "Now we must decide. The eyes of the world, and beyond, are upon us." The voting process was tense. Each nation cast its vote, the results tallying on a large screen for all to see. As the final votes came in, A hush fell over the assembly. Secretary General Okafor cleared her throat. By a majority decision, the United Nations has voted to accept the Zarquin's request for help under conditions to be negotiated. The announcement was met with a mix of cheers and concerned mutters. As the assembly broke into discussion groups to begin planning the next steps, Dr. Chen stood to the side, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through her. Humanity had made its choice. Now they had to face whatever consequences came with it. The real challenge was just beginning. The decision to help the Zarquins set off a whirlwind of activity across the globe. With the fate of 2 species now intertwined, humanity raced against time to prepare for the greatest challenge it had ever faced. At NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, a hive of activity buzzed day and night. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself at the center of it all, leading a team of the world's brightest minds in a crash course on alien technology. "All right, team," Sarah addressed the diverse group of scientists and engineers gathered in the main conference room. "We have 6 weeks to understand enough about Zarquin technology to help repair their propulsion systems. It's a tall order, but I believe we can do it." As she spoke, holographic projections of the alien ships floated above the table, courtesy of data shared by the Zarquin. The complexity of the systems was mind-boggling, but Sarah saw excitement rather than despair in the eyes of her team. Meanwhile, in a secret facility deep in the Siberian tundra, Colonel Alexei Volkov oversaw the training of an elite international team of astronauts and soldiers. These men and women would form the core of the mission to the Zarquin fleet. "Remember," Volkov barked as the team ran through another grueling simulation, "we're not just representing our countries up there. We're representing all of humanity. Failure is not an option." The chosen team members pushed themselves to their limits, knowing that the fate of 2 species might rest on their shoulders. Back in New York, the United Nations had transformed into a round-the-clock operations center. Diplomats worked tirelessly to hammer out the details of the agreement with the Zarquin. Every word was carefully chosen, every clause meticulously debated. UN Secretary General Amina Okafor found herself working 20-hour days, mediating disputes and keeping the fragile alliance of nations from fracturing under the immense pressure. "We must stand united," she repeatedly told world leaders in countless video conferences. "This is bigger than any one nation. It's about the future of our species." As the days ticked by, progress was made, but not without setbacks. In Houston, Sarah and her team hit roadblock after roadblock as they struggled to decipher the alien technology. "It's like trying to understand quantum physics using Stone Age tools," one frustrated engineer complained after another failed simulation. Sarah refused to give up. "Then we'll invent new tools," she declared, her determination infectious. "We've come too far to fail now." Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quiet Japanese physicist, noticed a pattern in the Zarquin's energy distribution that mimicked natural phenomena on Earth. "Look here," she said, pointing to a complex diagram. "It's similar to how energy flows in a coral reef ecosystem. If we apply that principle." The revelation sparked a flurry of new ideas. Suddenly, pieces began falling into place. The team worked around the clock, fueled by excitement and the knowledge that they were on the brink of something monumental. In Siberia, the international team was coming together in ways Colonel Volkov had never imagined possible. Cultural differences that had initially caused friction became strengths as the team learned to leverage their diverse backgrounds. "In space, we will face the unknown," Volkov told them during a rare moment of rest. "Our differences, our unique perspectives, these are our greatest assets against the unexpected." As the launch date approached, final preparations were made. The chosen ship, a modified international space station named Unity, was loaded with equipment and supplies. It represented the pinnacle of human space technology, augmented by insights gained from studying the Zarquin data. The night before the launch, Sarah stood on the roof of the Space Center, gazing up at the stars. The alien ships were visible to the naked eye, a constant reminder of the momentous task ahead. "Are we ready for this?" asked a voice behind her. It was Mark Zhang, her deputy, and closest confidant throughout the project. Sarah took a deep breath. "Ready or not, we have to try. This is our moment, Mark. Tomorrow, we take humanity's first real step into the cosmos." As dawn broke on launch day, billions around the world tuned in to watch. In every city, crowds gathered around giant screens. In homes and schools, families and students huddled around televisions and computers. At the launch site, the chosen team, a mix of scientists, engineers, and the elite unit trained by Volkov, made their final preparations. Each of them carried the hopes and fears of humanity on their shoulders. As the countdown began, Sarah closed her eyes and whispered a quiet prayer, not just for the success of the mission, but for the dawn of a new era of human history. The fate of two species now rested in their hands. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The roar of the engines was deafening as the Unity spacecraft lifted off from the launch pad. Flames and smoke billowed out, illuminating the pre-dawn sky. Inside the craft, the crew felt the immense force pushing them back into their seats. Dr. Sarah Chen gripped her armrests tightly, her heart pounding. Despite years of training, nothing could have fully prepared her for this moment. Beside her, Colonel Alexei Volkov remained stoic, his eyes fixed ahead. "Status report." Volkov's calm voice came through the comms. "All systems green," replied Captain Maya Rodriguez from the pilot's seat. "We are on course for rendezvous with the Zarquin fleet." As Unity broke through Earth's atmosphere, the sky outside gradually darkened from blue to black. The curve of the planet became visible, a breathtaking sight that momentarily made the crew forget the gravity of their mission. "Look at that," whispered Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her eyes wide with wonder. "Our home. It looks so fragile from up here." Sarah nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "And now we're its ambassadors to the stars." The journey to reach the Zarquin fleet took several hours. The crew used this time to run final checks on their equipment and review their first contact protocols. Tension hung in the air, a mix of excitement and apprehension. Finally, Captain Rodriguez's voice broke the silence. Visual contact established. Zarquin mothership dead ahead. The crew rushed to the viewing ports. The sight that greeted them was awe-inspiring. The Zarquin mothership dwarfed Unity, its sleek silver hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Smaller ships orbited around it like moons around a planet. It's beautiful," Sarah breathed. Volkov nodded, then straightened his uniform. "Remember your training, everyone. We're making history today." As Unity approached the designated docking area, a soft blue light enveloped the human ship. It felt warm and comforting, guiding them gently towards the Zarquin vessel. "They're assisting our docking," Rodriguez reported, her hands hovering over the controls. "Our systems are aligning with theirs. It's like nothing I've ever seen." With a soft thud, Unity connected with the alien ship. For a moment, everything was still. Then, a hiss of air signaled the equalization of pressure between the two vessels. "This is it," Volkov said, standing up. "Dr. Chen, you're with me. The rest of you, stand by." Sarah and Volkov made their way to the airlock. As the door slid open, they found themselves face to face with two Zarquin. The aliens were tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with colors. Their large, almond-shaped eyes regarded the humans with what seemed like curiosity. Despite their alien appearance, there was something undeniably intelligent and even warm in their gaze. One of the Zarquin stepped forward and spoke, its words translating in the humans' earpieces. "Welcome, people of Earth. I am Zarlon, chief engineer of the Zarquin fleet. We are honored by your bravery in coming to our aid." Sarah took a deep breath and replied, "The honor is ours, Zarlon. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, and this is Colonel Alexei Volkov. We bring greetings and offers of assistance from Earth." Zarlon's skin rippled with colors. which Sarah guessed might be their way of expressing emotion. "Your arrival brings us great hope, Dr. Chen. Please, come with us. There is much to discuss and little time to waste." As they followed the Zarquin deeper into the ship, Sarah and Volkov exchanged glances. The interior of the alien vessel was unlike anything they had imagined. Organic curves blended seamlessly with advanced technology, creating an environment that felt both futuristic and strangely alive. "Our propulsion systems are this way," Zarlan explained as they walked. "The damage is extensive, but we believe that with your help, we can find a solution." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The Zarquin's colors changed rapidly, their movements becoming more urgent. "What's happening?" Volkov demanded, his hand instinctively moving to his side where a weapon would usually be. Zarlan's reply was grim. "We've detected multiple ships entering the solar system. They are not friendly. The Krell have found us." Sarah's mind raced. "The Krell? Who are they?" "The reason we fled our home galaxy," Zarlan answered, fear evident in their voice. "And now, they've followed us here. Your world is in grave danger." As the alarms continued to wail, Sarah realized that their mission had just become far more complicated. They weren't just here to repair a ship anymore. Now, they were Earth's first and perhaps only line of defense against an unknown threat. The real test was about to begin. Alarms blared throughout the Zarquin mothership as Dr. Sarah Chen, Colonel Volkov, and their alien hosts raced towards the command center. The once serene corridors now pulsed with urgent energy, mirroring the rising tension. "Tell us about these Krell," Volkov demanded as they ran. "What are we up against?" Zarlan's skin rippled with dark colors. "The Krell are conquerors, Colonel. They destroy civilizations and take their resources. They chased us across galaxies. They entered the command center, a vast room filled with holographic displays and alien technology." Sarah gasped as she saw the approaching Krell fleet on the main screen. Dozens of angular, predatory-looking ships were rapidly closing in on their position. "We need to warn Earth," Sarah said urgently. She turned to Captain Rodriguez through her comlink. "Maya, send a message to Mission Control. We have a code-red situation." "Right away, Dr. Chen," Maya's voice crackled back. "But there's a problem. Our communications are being jammed. We can't reach Earth." Sarah's heart sank. They were on their own. Zarlan approached a central console. "We have little time. The Krell will be within weapons range in minutes. Our ships are faster, but without our main propulsion systems. We're sitting ducks," Volkov finished grimly. Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't fight, couldn't run. But maybe— "Wait," she said, an idea forming. "Your ships might not be able to move, but what about Unity?" Zarlan's eyes widened with understanding. Yes. We could transfer our shield technology to your ship. It's small enough to slip past the Krell fleet, and fast enough to reach Earth and warn them," Volkov added, nodding approvingly at Sarah. They sprang into action. While Zarlan and their engineers worked to adapt the Zarquin shields to Unity, Sarah and Volkov briefed their team. "This is what we trained for," Volkov told the human crew. "Our mission has changed, but our goal remains the same: protect Earth." Dr. Yuki Tanaka spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "But what about the Zarquin? We can't just leave them here to face the Krell alone." Sarah placed a hand on Yuki's shoulder. "We're not abandoning anyone. We'll warn Earth, bring back reinforcements. It's our only chance." As they worked, the Krell ships drew closer. The tension in the air was palpable. Every few minutes, a new alarm would sound, marking the enemy's approach. Finally, Zarlan announced, "It's done. We've integrated our shield technology with Unity. It should protect you from the Krell's weapons, at least for a short time." Sarah turned to her team. "I need volunteers to stay behind and continue working on the Zarquin propulsion systems. It's dangerous, but it might be our only chance of saving both our species." To her surprise, every hand went up. Sarah felt a surge of pride in her team's bravery. After a quick discussion, it was decided that Sarah, Volkov, and Captain Rodriguez would take Unity back to Earth, while the rest of the team would remain with the Zarquin. As they prepared to leave, a violent shudder ran through the ship. The Krell had opened fire. "Go now," Zarlon urged. "We'll hold them off as long as we can." Sarah hesitated for a moment, then impulsively hugged the alien. "We'll be back, I promise." With heavy hearts, Sarah, Volkov, and Rodriguez raced back to Unity. As they detached from the Zarquin mothership, they could see the space around them light up with weapons fire. "Shields holding," Rodriguez reported as they maneuvered through the chaos. "But we're seeing some strange energy readings." Suddenly, a massive Krell ship loomed before them. It fired, the energy blast hurtling towards Unity. "Brace for impact," Volkov shouted. The blast hit them, but instead of destroying the ship, it enveloped Unity in a strange, shimmering field. "What's happening?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with awe and fear. Before anyone could answer, there was a blinding flash of light. When it faded, the stars around them had changed. Rodriguez checked her instruments, her face pale with shock. This is impossible. According to these readings, we're no longer in our solar system. We've been transported somewhere else. As the realization sank in, Sarah stared out at the unfamiliar stars. They had escaped the immediate danger, but now faced an even greater challenge. Lost in unknown space, with Earth and the Zarquin facing imminent danger, they had to find a way home, and fast. The true test of humanity's resilience was about to begin. The Unity drifted silently through unfamiliar space, its three-person crew still reeling from the shock of their sudden transportation. Dr. Sarah Chen, Colonel Volkov, and Captain Rodriguez stared out at the alien stars, each grappling with the enormity of their situation. "Status report." Volkov finally broke the silence, his voice tense but controlled. Captain Rodriguez shook herself out of her daze and turned to her instruments. "All systems are functional, but our navigation is useless. I can't recognize any of these star patterns." Sarah moved to one of the computer terminals, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "I'm running an analysis of our surroundings. Maybe we can find some clues about where we are." As the computer worked, the three of them gathered to discuss their situation. "We need to focus on 3 objectives," Volkov said, his military training kicking in. "First, determine our location. Second, find a way to communicate with Earth. And third, figure out how to get back." Sarah nodded, adding, "And we can't forget about the Zarquin and the Krell. Every moment we're stuck here is a moment Earth remains in danger." Just then, the computer beeped, signaling the completion of its analysis. Sarah's eyes widened as she read the results. "This is incredible," she breathed. "According to these readings, we're in the Andromeda galaxy." "Andromeda," Rodriguez gasped. "But that's over 2.5 million light-years from Earth." Volkov frowned. "How is that possible? Even with the advanced Zarquin technology, we couldn't have traveled that far instantaneously." Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. The Krell weapon. It must have interacted with the Zarquin shields in a way we didn't anticipate. It created some sort of wormhole or spatial rift. As they digested this information, a new alert sounded from the ship's systems. Rodriguez rushed to check it. "We're picking up an energy signature," she reported. "It's faint, but it's like nothing I've ever seen before." Sarah joined her at the console, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Can we get a visual?" Rodriguez manipulated the controls, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed a massive structure floating in space, its design clearly artificial but alien to their eyes. "What is that?" Volkov wondered aloud, stepping closer to the hologram. Sarah studied the image intently. "It looks like some kind of space station or outpost. And if I'm reading these energy signatures correctly, it's ancient, possibly millions of years old. Could it be Zarquin? Rodriguez asked hopefully. Sarah shook her head. I don't think so. The design is completely different from their technology. This is something else entirely. Volkov's expression was grim. The question is it friendly? Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared as a bright beam of energy engulfed Unity. We're caught in some kind of tractor beam. Rodriguez shouted over the noise, frantically working the controls. I can't break free. The mysterious space station grew larger in their view screen as Unity was pulled inexorably towards it. The crew braced themselves, unsure of what awaited them. As they drew closer, they could see details of the station's surface. It was covered in intricate patterns and symbols, glowing with a soft, pulsing light. Suddenly, a voice filled the bridge, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It spoke in no language they recognized, yet somehow they understood every word. Welcome, travelers, the voice said, its tone neither warm nor hostile, but curious. You have entered the domain of the architects. Your arrival was foreseen. Sarah, Volkov, and Rodriguez exchanged bewildered looks. Who are you? Sarah called out. What do you want with us? There was a pause before the voice responded. We are the guardians of the galaxies, the shepherds of young races. And you, children of Earth, have a vital role to play in the cosmic dance. Before they could ask more questions, a bright light flooded the ship. Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was Volkov and Rodriguez collapsing beside her. When Sarah opened her eyes again, she found herself in a vast, shimmering chamber. Volkov and Rodriguez lay nearby, just beginning to stir. And standing before them were beings of pure energy, their forms shifting and pulsing with impossible colors. As Sarah struggled to her feet, her scientific mind reeling at the sight, one thought crystallized in her mind. Whatever came next would change not just the fate of Earth, but possibly the entire universe. The true nature of their mission was about to be revealed. Dr. Sarah Chen, Colonel Volkov, and Captain Rodriguez stood in awe before the architects, beings of pure energy that pulsed with colors beyond human imagination. The vast chamber around them seemed to shift and change, as if reality itself was fluid here. One of the architects moved forward, its voice resonating in their minds. We have watched your species for eons, waiting for this moment. You stand at a crossroads of cosmic significance. Sarah, always the scientist, found her voice first. What do you mean? Why us? Why now? The architect's form shimmered. The universe exists in cycles of creation and destruction. The Krell are harbingers of the end, seeking to hasten the universe's demise. The Zarquin are preservers, fighting to maintain balance. But you humans, you are the wild card. Volkov stepped forward, his military bearing evident even in this extraordinary situation. And what role do we play in this cosmic game? You have the potential to be creators, the architect explained, to spark a new cycle of existence, but only if you choose wisely. Suddenly, the chamber filled with swirling images. The crew saw Earth under attack by the Krell, the Zarquin fleet struggling to defend it. They saw alternate futures, one where Earth fell, another where it survived, but at a terrible cost, and a third shimmering possibility that was hard to focus on. The future is not set. Another architect spoke. Your actions here will determine the fate of not just your world, but all worlds. Rodriguez, who had been quiet until now, asked, but how? We're just 3 people. How can we affect the fate of the universe? The first architect approached them, its energy form condensing into a small glowing sphere. With this, the essence of creation itself, used wisely, it can repel the Krell, restore the Zarquin, and set your species on the path to join us as guardians of existence. Sarah reached out hesitantly, then paused. What's the catch? There's always a catch in situations like this. The architect's energy pulsed with what might have been approval. Wise question. The power comes with a price. To use it, one of you must merge with it, becoming one with the cosmic fabric. You will ascend, but you will also leave your human existence behind. The three humans exchanged looks, the weight of the decision heavy upon them. Volkov spoke first. I volunteer. As a soldier, it's my duty to. No, Sarah interrupted. It should be me. I have the scientific understanding to. Wait. Rodriguez cut in. I think it needs to be me. Sarah and Volkov turned to her in surprise. Rodriguez continued, her voice steady. I'm a pilot. My job is to navigate, to find the right path. And right now, we need someone to navigate the cosmos itself. After a moment of silence, Sarah and Volkov nodded in agreement. Rodriguez stepped forward, her hand outstretched. As her fingers touched the glowing sphere, light engulfed her. For a moment, her human form was visible within the energy. And then she was gone, transformed into a being of pure light. The new entity that was once Rodriguez spoke, her voice echoing with cosmic power. I understand now. I see everything. Sarah, Alexei, it's time to go home. With a gesture, a portal opened in the chamber. Through it, they could see Earth and the Zarquin fleet, still locked in battle with the Krell. Go, the Rodriguez entity said. I'll be right behind you. Sarah and Volkov stepped through the portal, finding themselves back on Unity's bridge. As they watched in amazement, a wave of energy swept across space. The Krell ships disintegrated, the Zarquin vessels were restored, and Earth glowed with a protective shield. On screens across Earth, in the Zarquin ships, and even in the far reaches of the galaxy, a message appeared. You are not alone. You are protected. And now, you have a choice to make. As the immediate threat passed, Sarah and Volkov realized their journey was far from over. They had returned with knowledge that would change humanity forever. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But for the first time, humanity knew its place in the cosmic order. They were no longer just inhabitants of a small blue planet. They were potential guardians of the universe, with the power to shape the very fabric of existence. As Unity descended towards Earth, Sarah looked out at her home planet, forever changed by their cosmic adventure. Well, Alexei, she said with a mix of excitement and trepidation, shall we tell them the good news? Volkov nodded, a rare smile on his face. Indeed, Doctor, it seems the greatest chapter in human history is about to begin. And as they prepared to face a world eager for answers, both knew that the true adventure was just beginning.